Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Adult Game Reviews. This week I finally took a look at Race of Life by Underground Studios. Race of Life Act 1 was released on Steam on January 9th, and it took me about 12 to 13 hours for one playthrough where I did jump around a little bit. I've been a little hesitant to try Race of Life because development has been slow. However, Race of Life surprised me in many ways. Not all good though. Before I get into the review, if you like the video, please like it and subscribe if you aren't. It really helps out the channel. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get into Race of Life, or as I like to call it, medical racing or car jargon, the game.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Wow, there is so much jargon. I got flashbacks from Chasing Sunsets. You play the divorced father of one. Your ex-wife holds a grudge mostly because you cheated, but that's not the whole story. When I started playing Race of Life, I thought this was going to be a divorced dad's life crisis of the game.
I'm only 43, still a young man.
But I was wrong. You're a PhD student who is also working on a battery that will revolutionize how things are powered. That is if you can figure out one glaring issue. You're dating a professor at the school you teach at that desperately wants to take things to another level, which...
Yeah.
And you love cars. When you're confronted with a life-changing event, you need to earn enough money and quick. So let's get into the audio. There's music most of the time, but I did notice some scenes where things were silent. However, there's consistent sound effects for engines revving up and doors slamming. All in all, the audio is very solid. You likely aren't going to listen to the soundtrack outside the VN, but it's decent. Visually, Race of Life is up there with some of the best, but there are minor visual inconsistencies that unless you're super sensitive to, it may be difficult to notice. Some weird anatomy with some of the girls' bodies or Jasmine's tattoos. The tattoos looking like they were copy-pasted on her body without much symmetry. It reminded me of adding tattoos to your character in NBA 2K.
Somehow this doesn't look quite right.
I personally didn't mind these issues, but I had one person on my Discord who couldn't stop staring at how terrible the placement of the tattoos were. Overall, though, I think the character models and the environments look quite good. I was really impressed with the races themselves, which probably took a long time to make. They were some of the best animations in a VN I've ever seen with the racing scenes. Now, onto the story. Race of Life is a pseudo slice of life story. It starts you with kind of setting up your day, going to class, half-assing your research, and neglecting your dog. The MC is kind of hard to like early on. However, there was a moment where you're talking with your ex that really showed me that there was more to the MC than I initially thought. One main issue I had with the story is it felt like some girls were favored over others. Your ex Allison or Allie is horribly unlikable. It's understandable why she hates you, and I do think she gets better over time, but I never really got to the point in Act 1 where I actually liked her. Also, Veronica, or V, while awesome, becomes so desperate it's hard to want to be with her as well.
Pull your tongue out of my arsehole.
Veronica. This leaves the totally underdeveloped neighbor Natalia, the pure white knight character Maggie, and in my view the best girl in the VN, Jasmine. In many VNs you feel like the girls are all kind of on the same footing, which makes choosing a love interest difficult. As time went on, it really felt like the VN skewed towards Jasmine. Now maybe that's just me. Now I don't mind this, but I was less interested in multiple playthroughs as I concluded Act 1. I first thought it would be the perfect game for multiple playthroughs, but unfortunately in my view that kind of fizzled out as the VN went on. Maybe Act 2 will make Natalia, Allie, and V a little more attractive to choose because one reason or another, I felt like they totally took a backseat to Jasmine and Maggie to a lesser extent. Your enjoyment of Race of Life will really depend on how turned off you are by jargon. I'm not a car guy, so the MC and Cooper, your best friend, would discuss cars and sometimes discuss cards with Jasmine or one of the side girls, Chris. I would kind of space out during these moments. I could tell whoever wrote Race of Life did their research on cars and probably likes them as well, but I do feel like some of those scenes are kind of a blur because I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
What are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Also, there's a lot of medical jargon with the male and female doctors, but most of it sounded like made up bullshit. I will give the dev a little bit more credit than Stone Fox for Chasing Sunsets, which just felt like bullshit the entire time, but the jargon in Race of Life didn't feel entirely plausible. Now, that might not matter to you, but it's definitely something I noticed. When you weren't focusing on all the jargon, but on the girls or even the races, this is where Race of Life shined. Even though I'm not a car guy, the mini games for the races were awesome. They are QuickTime events, and as someone who actually likes QuickTime events, I did love these races. If you don't like QuickTime events, you will struggle, but that's up to you. This brings me to the choices you have to make. The choices in the VN truly felt like they mattered. Sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't, but when you were asked specifically about relationships, that's when the choice tree gets really complicated. If you don't believe me, there's a walkthrough for the first act you can get for free. You can jump into the Discord if you want the link, and the decision tree was very complex. There's also plenty of spicy content, and I don't have any real complaints. It leans more vanilla, but there's also some things in there that will keep it from being purely vanilla, if you get my meaning. All in all, I love Race of Life. If this VN was complete, I would give it a Tom's pick. I had a great time playing it, and even Emily appreciated that the MC wasn't the same old character model. I thought he kind of looked like Superman, a hairy Superman, but Superman. So for me, this is a strong play. Jasmine is one of the best girls I've seen in any VNs as of late. Not to say that any other girls are bad, but Jasmine is just so much fun. She's smart, pretty, and just that right amount of crazy to keep her interesting. If you can get past all the jargon and some of the wonky tattoos or body anatomy, and that you leave your husky indoors too damn much, you will like this VN. Personally, I'm excited for future updates. I want to thank all my backers, and if you haven't seen my review of Hillside, you can check that out right here. Thanks again. Until next time.